Now, Sadhan Path. Sadhan Path, this is the second path out of the four path that Patanjali Rishi has put forth. So, and this Sadhan Path, it is for those who find Abhyas and Vairagya a bit difficult. In Samadhi Path, Patanjali Rishi had given two solutions for attaining Samadhi or spiritual progress, you can say. That is Abhyas and Vairagya. But then there are some people who find it difficult. Everybody cannot follow it that religiously. So for them, Patanjali Rishi gave another option, that is Kriya Yoga. Now, Kriya Yoga is suggested in Sadhan Path, and there are other options also given in Sadhan Path. So those who can't practice or who find it difficult to practice Abhyas and Vairagya, there are different solutions that are given in Sadhan Path. So, and these solutions, all the solutions have only one aim or one goal, that is, they purify your mind. They free you from all the chitta vrittis. Now, for those who have samahit chitta, that means whose mind is calm and they're able to control, they are called as uttam sadhak. For them, samadhi path, whatever is written in samadhi path, they can follow it easily. But for those who have vyukthana chitta, that means whose mind is fluctuating, whose senses are not so much in control, they are madhyam sadhak. At times their mind is in control, at times it is not in their control. For them, Kriya Yoga has been discussed or told. And for those who are Nimna Koti, that means the lower, who are not able to control their mind at all, for them, Ashtanga Yoga has been told. So let's discuss one by one. In Samadhi Path, we have already seen Abhyasa and Vairagya for Samahit Chitta. Now let's understand the remaining solutions that Patanjali Rishi is giving us. So 2.1 is Tapaha Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. So the first solution for purifying our mind or calming our vrittis, or if you want to work on our chitta, is Kriya Yoga. That is told in the first sutra of Sadhan Path. Now, what is Kriya Yoga? Austerity, study of sacred literature, and surrendering the fruits of work to the God. That means tapa. We know that tapa is very important. Now, when we say tapa, we have already studied in Bhagavad Gita different types of tapa, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. So we know which type of tap we need to do. Also, tap is any activity that we do for 12 continuous years. That is called as tap. So we have to continuously do a particular thing for 12 years, only then it is called as tap. That is what is written in scriptures, not told by Patanjali Rishi. Then is Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is, you can take it as either self-study, that you are working on your spiritual growth, or Swadhyaya also means going through or gaining knowledge through all the spiritual scriptures, that is Ved. Studying all the scriptures of Vedas, that is called as Swadhyaya. Then third is Ishwar Pranidhan. That means surrendering to the God or devoting everything that we do to God. That or these three are called as Kriya Yoga. So what is Kriya Yoga? Tapa, Swadhyay, and Ishwar Pranidhan. These three methods are called as Kriya Yoga. Then in the next, here I have just given you in detail whatever I have explained it to you. You can go through it later on. Now, if a sadhak, he practices Kriya Yoga, that means Tapa, Swadhyaya, and Ishwar Pranidhan. If he practices these three methods, then what is the fruit or the result of Kriya Yoga? That Patanjali mentioned in 2.2. That is Samadhi Bhavanartha Klesha Tanu Karanarthascha. That means there are two fruits of Kriya Yoga. One, Samadhi Bhavanartha. That means he attains Samadhi, which is the goal. And second is Klesha Tanu. That means the kleshas that are there in our mind, they become tanu. That means their intensity of the kleshas, it gets reduced. So Kriya Yoga helps in the practice of Samadhi. That is a one result of Kriya Yoga. And second is it diminishes the strength of the five kleshas. We will study kleshas in detail, what are the types. But as of now, in this sutra, Patanjali Rishi is telling us the fruit of Kriya Yoga. Tapa, Swadhyay, Ishwar Pranidhan, these three are Kriya Yoga. And when we practice Kriya Yoga, what is the result of Kriya Yoga? Well, one is Samadhi, and second is, what is it? Klesha Tanu Parinartha. That means the strength of the kleshas, it is reduced or diminished. Now, why Patanjali Rishi has given so much importance on the kleshas? So let us understand what are kleshas. Now, kleshas are anything and everything that results in suffering or dukkha. So the cause of our suffering, the cause of our sorrow, the cause of our dukkha is klesh. And Patanjali Rishi has divided these kleshas into five types, depending on how it is, how it acts or how it works. So, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhiniveshaha, kleshaha. So, five types of kleshas are mentioned: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesh, and abhinivesh. These are the five kleshas. Again, repeat it at your end: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesh. We are going to study each klesha in detail in the further sutras. But as of now, in this sutra, Patanjali Rishi has only mentioned that there are five kleshas and the names of all the five kleshas. So, in English, if you want, ignorance, avidya is ignorance. Vidya is jnana or knowledge. Not having that vidya. Avidya is ignorance. Asmita, ahankar. Raga, rag here doesn't mean anger, it means attachment. Dvesha is aversion. We don't want it, we run away from it. Abhinivesha, abhinivesha is clinging to life or fear of death. These are the five kleshas. Now, one by one, Patanjali Rishi has explained each klesh in detail. Avidya kshetra muttaresham prasupta tanu vichchinna udaranabhyam. So, avidya, ignorance. Kshetram uttaresham. Kshetra is a field. The field, avidya, is the field. Uttaresham, it is a field for whom? For all the other kleshas. Uttaresha means it is a field for all the other kleshas. So you can say that avidya is a soil in which all the other kleshas, they grow. So avidya is the soil, and other kleshas you can consider them as small saplings or plants or crops that grow in that soil. So avidya kshetra muttaresham prasupta tanu vichinna and udaranam. Now let's understand what is this. What does it avidya? Avidya we know ignorance. Kshetra is the field. So avidya is the field for the others. Uttaresham, it is a field for other kleshas. Prasupta. Now, prasupta tanu vichinna. If a person no. Ignorance, avidya is a breeding ground for the others, that is asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesh. Whether they are dormant, attenuated, overpowered, or active. Now, in this soil of avidya, the kleshas, that is asmita, raga, dvesh, abhinivesh, they are in different forms. Just like in the field, if you sow something, okay, some are only in the seed form, they haven't grown, they are dormant. Some you can see a sprout or a sapling, small sapling coming out of it. Some you might be very fast to grow, so you can see a plant that has grown this much, and some have grown even bigger. So each of these kleshas, that is asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha, they are at different levels. So at times they are dormant, that means they are inactive. Just like seed, if we have kept a seed dry, we have not soaked it, then it will not sprout. So it is in a dormant state, or you can say it is sleeping. So let's understand this. Prasupta, that is dormant, not active, like seeds sleeping, seeds lying in the sleep. So that is prasupta. Then tanu. What is tanu? Tanu means that from that seed, okay, from that seed, a little small sprout has come. That means it is attenuated. It is very subtle, very fine, very small. It is weak, but it is there. They can be controlled. These kleshas, okay, they can be controlled. Now, if the kleshas are in prasupta state, that means if they are sleeping, nothing has to be done. They are sleeping. Tanu, here it is said that these kleshas, they are weak and they can be controlled by kriya yoga. So because they are weak, if you want to destroy the kleshas and they are tanu, that means they are weak, then we can destroy it by kriya yoga. And it doesn't hamper the attainment of viveka khyati. If the kleshas are very fine, weak, then the person or the yogi who is practicing yoga, who is in the process of attaining viveka khyati or jnana, that process is not hampered. He can still attain that knowledge or jnana. Then first is prasupta, that is dormant, that is sleeping. Now tanu means it is very subtle. So it is weak also, but it can be controlled. Then is vichinna. Vichinna means that vichinna, they're separated, they're away from each other. When a single klesh emerges strongly into manifest state, any of these kleshas, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesh, any of these kleshas, it becomes strong. Then what happens? The other opposing kleshas, they get suppressed. So at one time, only one klesh will be dominant. Just like in sattva, raja, and tamaguna, we saw that if sattva is dominant, then raja, tama are suppressed. If raja is dominant, sattva and tama are suppressed. So it works like that. Here also, same formula applies. If any one klesh is dominant or is manifested, then what happens? Other kleshas, they get suppressed. And such kleshas can be termed as being a vichinna or separated state. Now here, I have given a very simple example that we can relate it. Now, if a person, now, if I don't like someone, let's assume I am not very fond of a particular person and I am talking to my child. For my child, what is the feeling that I have? It is of love. Yes, I love my child. So I'm talking to my child very nicely in a loving manner, and I'm happy talking to my child, spending time with my child. And suddenly, the other person whom I don't like, he comes in front of me. What will happen? This love that was there, either that will get suppressed and my mood, my emotion, my tone, everything will change, or what will happen? My dislike for him will be suppressed, and this emotion that is there with the child, my loving, affectionate, I will also be quite polite with that person. Why? Because I'm at that mindset, or I'm in that mood or that emotion. So at a time, only emotion is dominant, other is suppressed. And that is called as vichinna. Then, in this situation, the klesh of raga becomes vichinna while dvesh is in udara state. Now, dvesha. Now, udara means active. Active means the kleshas are in absolute active stage. We experience happiness and sorrow, or whatever emotions that we are experiencing in our day-to-day life is because of udara. There is some small thing that happens and we are very happy. Something doesn't take place according to our wish and we are sad. So this emotional changes that is taking place, it is because of the kleshas. So when any klesh, it is manifested or it becomes dominant, it is considered as udara state. So when only one klesh is dominant, it is called as udara, and it suppresses all the other kleshas, and we experience happiness and sorrow because of that klesh. From exam point of view, you just have to remember that there are five kleshas: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesh. Second point in this sutra, you have to remember that avidya is the breeding ground, or it is the soil in which the other kleshas they grow. That is the second point that you have to remember. And third is that all the kleshas are in different, you can say, form. That is prasupta, tanu, vichhinna, and udar. These are the four states in which the kleshas are. That is all you have to remember from exam point of view, not more than that. Then, nature of each klesh. How is the klesh? Anitya asuchi, dukkha anatma. Dukkha anatmasu, nitya suchi, sukha atma khyati avidya. That means, how about the kleshas? When we consider anitya as nitya, dukkha as sukh, impure, when we consider dukkha as sukh, ashuchi as suchi, and anatma as atma khyati, then it is considered as avidya. Avidya means ignorance, not knowing the truth or the reality. When do we don't know? When are we unaware of the reality? When we think, Patanjali Rishi is saying, when we consider anitya as nitya, we know, okay, nitya is eternal, anitya is temporary. So when we consider this body, which is actually anitya, when we consider this body as nitya, then that is avidya. That means we don't really have that jnana or knowledge that we should have. So considering our body to be nitya is avidya. So considering anitya as nitya, considering this body as eternal is the root of all avidya. Is the root of avidya. Second is ashuchi, suchi. So considering impure or impurity as purity, or impure as pure, is also called as avidya or ignorance. So our body, we will take the same example. Our body, is our body pure? We think that we bathe, we brush our teeth and everything, so our body is pure, but actually our body is not pure from inside. We are just externally purifying our body, or clean, not even purifying, we are cleaning our body, but internally, if we see, our body is not cleansed, it is impure. Now considering our body to be pure and clean, that means when we consider our body to be shuchi, that is avidya. We should know that our body is not clean, or it is not shuchi, it is impure. That knowing that is good, but not knowing that is avidya. Now considering dukkha as sukh. Here I've given the most common example that I give every time. I like tea. I like drinking tea. So when I'm having tea, I'm enjoying it. But actually having tea, the sugar, that addiction to having tea every day, morning, evening, is it good? No. It is going to give me sorrow. But I consider that having tea gives me happiness. I just ignore that in long term, it is bad for my health. So considering dukkha to be sukh, or having gulab jam when I'm having diabetes, or even though I don't have diabetes, if I have too much of sweet, I'm not exercising, I feel, wow, I'm enjoying it, is my favorite. I go on eating, not having a good lifestyle. What will happen after a certain time? I will be detected as I'm a diabetic person or some any other health issue. So now I'm enjoying having gulab jam. So I'm happy, sukhi. But in the long term, later on, what is the result of that? It is dukkha, or it is going to give me sorrow. So considering dukkha as sukh is again avidya. Anatmasu atmakhyati. That means considering our mind, our intellect, our body as atma. That is avidya. We all know that our body is different and our atma is different. But considering our body and atma as one, considering this body only as Anshuta, that is avidya. We should know the difference that a body is a separate entity and is separate. Atma is eternal and a body is anitya. That is, it is temporary. So, not knowing this difference, anatmasu and atmakhyati, considering our mind, our intellect and body as my atma, considering that is avidya. So from this sutra, very important, anitya, nitya, ashuchi, shuchi, dukkha, sukha, and anatmasu, atma, khyati. In the next sutra then, till now here, fourth and fifth, Patanjali Rishi discussed about avidya. Now, in 2.6, Patanjali Rishi is discussing about asmita. Druk darshan shaktyoho ekatmata iva asmita. Now, this asmita is different from the asmita that we had studied in Samadhi Pad. Let's understand what is this asmita. Druk darshan. Now, druk here means the purush, or we can say the seer or our atma. That is druk. What is darshan? Darshan means the power with which we see, or the intellect, or we can say the instrument of knowledge through which we are gaining knowledge. That is darshan. Shaktyoho, we know, is the power. Ekatmata iva asmita. So egoism. Asmita is the identification of seer with the instrument of seeing. That is buddhi. That means considering Purush and Prakriti to be one is Asmita. Considering Drik Shakti and Darshan Shakti as one is Asmita. Not knowing that Purush and Prakriti are different, not having that knowledge is Asmita. That is what is called as Asmita over here. Next, when one fails to recognize the distinction between these two parts, that is Purush and Prakriti, and perceives them as one, this confusion is referred to as klesha of Asmita. Now, here I have written in short. Asmita means thinking Purush or Atma or Druk Shakti. Why I have mentioned all the three words over here? Because in exam, they might ask you by giving any of these three words. So you should know that Drik Shakti is only Atma and that is only Purush. Similarly, Darshan Shakti means Prakriti, Darshan Shakti means Buddhi. So considering Purush and Atma, considering Druk Shakti and the Darshan Shakti as one, that is Asmita. Then Avidya, Asmita, next clash is Raga. So 2.7, Sukhanushayi Raga. So Sukhanushayi Raga. Raga here means attachment. Attachment is that means attachment is that which dwells upon pleasure. For example, we like something, Sukhanushayi Raga. Sukhanushayi, that means Sukh. In whatever we get happiness, whatever we like, whatever we enjoy doing, we want to do it again and again. That is Raga. Doing it again. That means we are attached to it. For example, if I like shopping, then going for shopping unnecessarily again and again and again and again. Why? Because it makes me happy. That Patanjali Rishi is saying as that is a klesha. That is a rag. Or we can say vada pav. I like vada pav. Vada pav is not good for my health. Okay. But I keep eating it. Why? Because I feel very nice after eating. So I want to, yesterday I ate vada pav. Today again I felt like eating vada pav. So every day I feel like eating some vada pav or pani puri. I know it is not good for my health. but there is a certain kind of craving or desire which I am not able to control. And when I eat it, I feel like, wow, how tasty. The crispy covering and the sabji inside it is so tasty. Pani puri, the taste is like, wow. So, because of that temporary pleasure, temporary sook, we get attached to it. And that is raga. So, attachment to the pleasure, temporary pleasure that we are getting, that is raga. Next is dukhanushayi dveshaha, 2.8. Aversion. Dukhanushayi dvesha. Dvesha means aversion. Whatever makes us unhappy, or whatever is painful for us, or whatever we don't like, we don't want to do it. Even though it is good for us, we do know that, but still we don't like to do it. For example, there are certain injections that we have to take, whether we like it or no. But because of the fear of injection, we don't want to take it. No, it will pain. So I don't want to take it. So you have aversion, dvesh. Why? Because it will pain. Dukh hoga usse. So aversion for anything that gives you pain or that you don't like, that is called as dvesha. Even a simple example, kids, they don't like going to the school because they have to do homework, they have to study. So they will make some bahana every day in the morning. My stomach is paining. I'm not feeling well. I have fever. Why? Because they don't want to go to the school. Dukhanushaye dvesha. So it is exactly opposite to the previous sutra. Sukhanushahi ragaha. That means whatever we like, we want to do it again and again. Dukhanushahi dvesha. Whatever we don't like, we simply don't want to do it. Very convenient of us. Then, in the next sutra, Abhinivesh. Swarasavahi vidoshopi tatha arudho abhiniveshaha. Swarasavahi. Swarasavahi means something that has been going on since a long time, from a long period, from long ago. Vidushopi, even for the wise people, not only for the ignorant people, even for the wise people. Tatha arudoho abhinivesha. That means fear of death. Even the wise people, the learned people, those who have, we call them as wise or learned or knowledgeable people, even they are scared of death. And that is called as abhinivesha. Abhinivesha is what? Fear of death. They want to live. No matter what happens, how old you are, even if you are 100 years old, you want to live. You don't want to die. Who doesn't want to live? Everybody wants to live. So even the Patanjali Rishi is saying that not only the common people, even the wise people, the educated people, even they have the fear of death. Even they don't want to die. And that is called as abhinivesha, fear of death. Now, these are the 5 kleshas. But we know these kleshas are not good. Not good for us, not good for our spiritual progress, not good for samadhi. We cannot progress. So, how to dissolve them or how to destroy these kleshas? That Patanjali has given us few solutions to it. One of that is te prati prasava heyaha sukshmaha. Prati prasav. Now, prasav means creation. How in Sankhya, because of the union of Purush and Prakriti, the entire world was created. That is prasav. From a mother's womb, a baby or a child is born. So that is a creation. That is prasav. Exactly opposite to that is prati prasav. That means all the elements, all the tanmatras, pancha mahabhut, and everything, they again dissolving into prakriti, and Purush and Prakriti being in their original form. That is prati prasav. So prati prasav is exactly the opposite of creation. The subtle kleshas are to be conquered by resolving them into their casual state. To dissolve means to merge back into the original form. So how do we control the kleshas? For that, Patanjali Rishi is saying that we need to practice Prati Prasav. That means from Vyakta to Avyakta. All the subtle elements has to be dissolved in a backward direction and till Prakriti. Only in that way, when you work on every first subtle elements, then gross elements like Ahankar, then Buddhi, Mahat, Buddhi, and then Prakriti. When it dissolves in this way, then we will be able to control the kleshas. So Sankhya exactly opposite of what creation is. That is Prati Prasav. So from Vyakta to Avyakta. Vyakta is creation. Avyakta is going back to the original form. For example, how we see in the movies also we see, in animation, there is a seed. From that seed, a small sprout, a sapling, it becomes a plant and then it goes into the tree. And at times they show the reverse of it. The tree becoming a plant, then a small sapling, then a sprout, and then again going a seed. So this reverse process is called as Prati Prasav. And when this takes place, then we will be able to control or dissolve the kleshas. So one solution to dissolve the kleshas is Prati Prasav. Then Dhyana Heyaha Tadvruttayaha. Dhyana, that means meditation. Dhyana Heyaha Tadvruttaya. The modifications are to be suppressed by meditation. That means even when if we practice dhyan, still meditation or dhyan, they can dissolve the kleshas. When kleshas are weakened through kriya yoga, when we practice kriya yoga, the kleshas they become weak. Tapas swadhyaya ishwar pranidhan. This is kriya yoga. When we practice kriya yoga, what happens? The kleshas they become weak. Means the gross tendencies of the kleshas are refined through kriya yoga and they become subtle. The practitioner should then strive to burn the subtle seeds of these kleshas through meditation. So initially they were gross, they were very strong. So by practicing kriya yoga, what we do is we make them subtle. We weaken them. And then what do we do once they are weak? Then we destroy or we dissolve those kleshas by dhyana. Dhyana heyaha tad vrittayaha. So dhyan is another way of dissolving the or destroying the kleshas. So kleshas can be destroyed by, very important from exam point of view. There are three ways you can destroy or dissolve the kleshas. One is kriya yoga, dhyan, and pratiprasav. These are the three ways in which you can destroy the kleshas. Which are how many kleshas are there? 5. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesh. So first, Patanjali Rishi described all these 5 kleshas and then he also told us how to destroy these kleshas. Just like in Samadhi Path, Patanjali Rishi told us all about vrittis and then he gave us a solution that by Abhyas and Vairagya, you can control the vrittis. Similarly, here Patanjali Rishi in Saadhan Path is talking about kleshas. Now, further he's telling us how do klesha trouble us and what happens because of klesh. If there are kleshas, it is going to have some impact on our body, on our mind, on our progress. So what happens? What is the result of the klesh? So klesha moolah karmashaya drishtanudrishta janma vedaniyaha. So klesha moola karmashaya. That means the root of klesh is karmashaya. The root of klesh is karmashaya. From karmashaya, the kleshas are born. So that means we perform some karma or actions. Because of that, karmashaya is formed. And the root of this karmashaya is klesh. Why? Because whenever we perform action, either we have sattva, raja, or tamagun, we do perform certain actions, then again we get fruit of actions. These fruit of actions again will be stored in our karmashaya, and then again we will be born. and again that cycle will go on. So here Patanjali Rishi is saying that the root of kleshas, the root of all klesha is in our karmashaya. So karma is given very, very important. It is given a lot of importance. Why? Karmashaya is very, very important because karma decides the fruit of the actions, whether we'll have birth or rebirth. How will be our life? Happy, sorrow, will have misery, or it will be sad, dukha rahega, or suffering rahega, kaise rahega? How will be our life? Or a peaceful life? Whatever, it will depend on our karma. So here also, Patanjali Rishi is telling us that the root of all the kleshas is our karmashaya. And the womb of karma has its root in these kleshas, and the karma, whatever karma that we do, you will either experience the fruit of it in this life or in the next life. But no one is free from the fruits of karma. If you're performing any action which is not a nishkama karma, it is going to bear fruit. Now, some actions will give you the fruit immediately, some will give later on. So, either drushta anushravika, drushta adrushta. Drushta means in this life, you will face all the fruits of your karmasha or some fruits of karmasha in this life. Adrushta means whatever remaining fruit of actions are there, you will have to go through it, or you will have to face it in the next life. Adrushta means next life, future life, which we cannot see. Drushta is the present life that we are leading. So any which ways, in this life or the next life, the fruits of our karma share have to be borne by us. We have no escape from that. So that is exactly what I have discussed over here. Now, fruit of kleshas as root in karma share. Sati mule tad vipako jati ayu bhogaha. Very important sutra. As long as kleshas remain at the root, we know that karmashaya and the root of karmashaya, the base of karmashaya is klesha. It is because of the kleshas that are there in the mind. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesh, and abhinevesh. We perform certain kind of action because of greed, because of lust, because of anger, attachment. These are all kleshas. We perform certain action which results in the fruit of action, which are stored as karmashaya. So the root of karmashaya is klesh. As long as these kleshas, they are in the root, they are at the root, the fruition comes in the form of birth, life, and experience of pleasure and pain. So, as we know, as long as the kleshas are there, we are going to perform action depending on the klesha, which klesha is dominant at that time. Accordingly, we are going to act. Accordingly, will be the fruit. And what will be the fruit? It will be in different forms. Form of birth, where we will get the birth, human life or an animal life, or will be born as a bird. Even in human, even if we get birth as human, still what kind, if our body will be healthy or will be born deformed, will have a long life or will have a very short life. So birth, life, the experience that we are going to get, whether it will be a nice, peaceful, happy life, or it will be full of pain and suffering. All these, Janma, Ayu, and Bhog, these three things, it depends on the kleshas. So, as long as the kleshas are there, we are going to experience pleasure and pain in, in the form of birth, that is Janma, life, how much life we are going to live, and what kind of life we are going to live, that is experience of pleasure and pain. So this will depend upon the kleshas. Hence, it is very important to destroy these kleshas. Then Patanjali Rishi further is telling, Te halada paritapa falaha punya punya hetutvat. So this sutra is connected with the previous sutra only. As will be your action, the karmas bear the fruits. So as will be your karma, as will be your action, so will be your life. It will be a pleasure full. It will be a life full of pleasure, or it will be a life full of suffering, pain, misery. It will depend on what, depend on how or what is the kind of your action, whether your actions are, whether your karma, your actions, they are good or bad. That means they are virtuous or non virtuous, पाप या पुण्य. जैसे आप कर्म करोगे, that is how you will get the fruit. Janma, ayu, bhog will depend upon your action. How is your action, good or bad, punya or apunya, punya ya pap? Depending on that, you will get Janma, Ayu, and Bhog. We will do one more sutra and we will stop. Parinama tapa samskara dukkaihi guna vritti virodhatash dukkha meva sarva vivekinaha. So, Parinam, here three types of dukkha have been discussed. First, Parinama dukkha. Second, Tapa dukkha. And third is Samskara dukkha. First, Patanjali Rishi has told us about these three type of dukkha. So, even to a wise person or a Viveki person, they do have to face these three dukkhas. That is Parinama dukkha, Tapa dukkha, and Sanskara dukkha. And that comes. And how, from where do these dukkhas come? They are caused due to the three gunas, Sattva, Raja, and Tama. Because these gunas are, one guna is dominant, other are suppressed, then other guna is dominant, the rest two are suppressed. So they keep on, there is a conflict between these three gunas. And because of that, we have to face, even the Viveki person, not only we, a Viveki or a Jnani person, a wise person has to face Parinama Dukh, Tapa Dukh, and Samskara Dukh. Now, what are these three dukkhas? We know about gunas, so let's not discuss on that. We know that the gunas are ever changing, they're not stable. One guna is always dominant, and depending on that guna will be our action, depending on that will be our experience. So, let's understand what are these three types of dukkha. Till now, only in detail, what are these dukkha? They have never been asked. They have only asked the three types of dukkha or put it in sequence or sutra number. So, parinama dukkha. What is parinam dukkha? Whatever happiness you are enjoying now will end up giving you misery. That is parinama dukkha. And after some time, you are unable to enjoy it, but you still desire. That desire is still there. Now, for example, again, gulab jam, my favorite example. Okay, whatever happens. So, if you eat gulab jam, you are happy. It gives you happiness, and you know that when you eat gulab jam, you are going to have certain health problems. Okay, then what happens after some time? When your report comes, you see that, oh, I've got diabetes. So now you're not supposed to eat gulab jam. You can't eat gulab jam, but the desire of eating is still there. So you have experienced that sukh of eating gulab jam. Now you can't eat, but that desire is there. That is called as parinama dukkha. Because you can't eat and you have desire, you want to eat, but you can't eat. So of course you will be sad. If I want a certain necklace, if I want diamond and I can't get it, if I can't buy it, I will definitely be unhappy. So that is parinama dukkha. Then is tapa dukkha. Any and every happiness will end at some time of our life. No one is happy throughout their life. We all know that. So happiness, then sorrow, happiness, sorrow. This keeps on going on. Now, but when we are happy, if we are still scared that, oh, this happiness is going to end and then I'll be sad, that thought process is called as tapaduk. You're not enjoying that happiness. Today you're happy. For example, I bought a new car or I have bought a diamond set. I should be happy. Okay. But You are scared that, oh, this happiness will end. I might have to give it back, or it might not be with me. So, only thinking about that, you are sad. And there is also a reason to be sad. So, that is called as tapa dukkha. Then is samskara dukkha. The samskars or the latent impressions that are there in the mind, they are created in a chitta. How are they created? After experiencing the sukh, and that is called as samskara dukkha. For example, we have that my give the example that my friend, she has a beautiful sari. I love her sari. Huh? But I had a sari like that. I had a sari exactly like that, maybe Kanjivaram sari. I had it, but now I don't have. Today I don't have it, but she has it. So, because she has it and I don't have it now, I am unhappy. That is samskara dukkha. So, the samskars or the latent impressions that are created in your chitta after experiencing the sukh. So, when I had that Kanjivaram sari, I was very happy. And how I was happy and I enjoyed that, everything, those sanskars are there in my mind. That it was a beautiful sari. I looked very pretty. Everyone praised me and said that, oh, you're looking so beautiful. But today I don't have. And she has. So that is called as samskara dukkha.